Welcome everybody. Hope you had a nice day so far. Today we have an early stream. Reason for that is in not even 45 minutes we will get the patch, the new patch in Guild Wars 2. Let's see how much content we get. We will see that when it is happening. Before that we will do some cozy tier list about world versus world roaming. Let's wait a bit until everyone is here, and then we can start a debate, because I think this is a very spicy tier list. Hello, hello, here I am. So, like I said, we will do the roaming tier list in, let's say, a few minutes. And after that, I hope we will get also the very content-rich patch. I mean, I'm not sure if it's really that content-rich, but at least we get a new map. That is something. And let's see if there is some really content on there that we can do for weeks, or if it's just a short one-time adventure. In any case, I'm happy that we can get new content, and we also get some new relics, I guess, to maybe buildcraft with. Let's see. Welcome, welcome everyone. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. And don't forget, this week, starting with the patch, we will get drops on Twitch. So if you are on YouTube, you will get more rewards on Twitch. And I stream on both platforms, so you can just join there. The drops this time are actually quite decent. I think you will get a backslot expansion too, which is really nice. So let's see if we can win against the thief here. Okay, it's an ex-thief, but I guess they are a little bit... Did I actually hit the fear? No, okay. Nice, we got him. I hate ex-thieves. I think ex-thieves are so annoying. It's actually insane, I have to be honest. At least we got them. We got them. So I hope you had a nice day, and hopefully you have time to play the game. Welcome, Filthy, welcome. So about the debate we had earlier, I think actually, I don't know the exact numbers, I never tested it, but I think in Guild Wars 2, a lot of people always think, oh my god, I have to press a lot of buttons. But I think if you are smart, a lot of stuff you don't even have to press all the time. Yeah. So I think, for example, if you have your auto attack on autocast, you don't have to press your auto attack a lot. And you shouldn't spam your free skill like a maniac just to press them. I think it's very important that you play the game, even though it's very fast-paced, in a way that is that you think about stuff. Yeah. So that you think about, okay, I'm pressing, the next button I'm pressing is my 2 button or something. And this changes my, let's say, how I interact with the game, because I don't spam my button presses just to get them off. I think about what I want to queue next. Yeah. And if I do that, I think the actions per minute on most builds are actually not as high as you would expect. For example, like I told you, you can just use the auto attacks. I pressed it once, hands up, and it's still doing it. And I think if you use that somewhat effectively, it's actually not that high that high APM that you have to get to deal damage with most builds. I agree, some builds are very spammy, but most builds you can actually play very, let's say, low APM and still get 80-90% of the benchmark, I would say, if you don't have to spam your buttons. So I think Guild Wars 2, yes, is fast-paced, but if you know what you're doing, I think spamming is not always the right way, especially when it comes to PvP and World vs. World, where you fight other players. It's way better to just position yourself correctly and use the spams and the skills in the correct moment than spamming them all the time. Just saying, yeah. Welcome. Welcome, Six Hosts. Welcome, Pizza Hut. Welcome. Yeah, I think this World vs. World week is actually insane. So our guild is actually together on the Great House Aviary, and there are so many crazy good people on there. I think all the PvPers are on here, and we have SA, so the roaming guild. So it's actually, our server is insane, stacked with a lot of really good people. And if you are on blue, you fight all the time against us, so good luck with that. I see you get a lot of PPT. I think you are all going for fighting about objectives and stuff. Our server is not caring about that. We just want to win and kill people. So that's actually very interesting, our current matchup. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Of course, it's fun to spam your buttons sometimes, but I'm just saying it's not always necessary that you spam, especially the auto tag. And there are actually some tricks that you can use your auto tag to make sure that everything hits and you don't have to press the button, because sometimes it's a little bit annoying to press the button. And yeah, just saying that, for example, in the Shadow Shroud of Thief, if you go into the Shroud to get the first auto tag going without canceling it, is actually easier if the game just does it for you. So some of that stuff is really interesting, I would say. Welcome, Heavenfire, welcome. So after this tick, we will start the roaming tier list. I'm always very excited about this one, because I think a lot of people have very, very different opinion on how roaming is going and stuff. So please let me know your opinion as well on that. And I hope we will get it done before the patch comes out. Otherwise we have to stop, because the patch, of course, is some really big happening. Not a lot of times this happens during the year. So let's see. Yeah, sure. Look around. No, this stream is actually earlier, 6 shots. It's earlier for me. Normally I stream in the evening of EU. And this one is actually in, let's say, afternoon, early evening, just because I want... Oh my god, this damage. I survived. Now you're dead. This was so close. This is a full power reaper. It's actually insane how much damage this guy did. Okay, let's go. No, I will also, if you don't see the whole tier list, don't worry. I will also upload it on YouTube, of course. Yes. Welcome, Jake. Welcome. Yeah, glad you enjoy my content. Okay, so let's do the tier list. 1 second. There we go. I already prepared it. So, again, this is a roaming tier list. Let me also put that somewhere that people already know this is a roaming tier list. Roaming. Hopefully people see that, because this is what it's about. It's about roaming. It's not Zerg play, it's about roaming in World vs. World. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about first what criteria I think are important when it comes to roaming. And then I will talk about the tiers that I have here. So first of all, roaming, you can play every build. It's almost like my solo tier list that I did a while ago about solo content in PvE. You can play every build, and I think every build works to the most of the time. You can actually make the builds work. But of course, there are builds that are way better in most situations, and some builds are only working in a specific situation. So I'm valuing builds that are very, let's say, strong in almost every situation they encounter. So this is an S tier build for me. An S tier build is also for me if you can fight outnumbered, you can fight in small scale, but you can also do duels and one-on-ones and easily win them. So I think this is something that is the flexible part of a build, that you can fight it in different ways and make it work. Of course, if you have multiple builds that an elite spec has, I think that's also very valid to put it higher than if you just had one. Other than that, I would say it helps if you can kill people in a one-on-one, but if you, we will get to that, but for example, thieves struggle a lot with outnumbered situations, so they can be really annoying and can kill a lot of people in a one-on-one just by engaging and disengaging. But in outnumbered situations where, for example, they fight against 3 people, for them it's actually not that easy to outsmart them if the enemies are somewhat decent at the game, because they engage, and if the thief gets caught for 1 second, they might die to 3 people. So I think this is also taken into account. That's how the playstyle works in almost every situation. But like I said, again, I repeat it, this is a tier list, and I think every single spec that we have is playable in roaming. This is just my personal take on the situation, how I think roaming builds are, let's say, rated and how I would rate them. Yeah. The patch is not out yet. The patch will be out in around half an hour, so that's why we want to do it. Yeah. Do you have a rotation video for the spear, shield, dagger virtuoso? I have on my normal virtuoso spear build, I would say yes, I have that. It's on my YouTube channel, just search for virtuoso, and I have multiple virtuoso builds that are in PvE, and all of them use the same rotation, so you can check them out. So for example, the solo build guide on YouTube on the solo virtuoso is also the same rotation. Okay, so let's talk about the tiers now. So like I said, S tier, clear. Very clear, this is broken builds, yeah? Builds that are just very, very good in every situation. Then we have A tier, which is also annoying tier. That are builds that are either annoying because they can win one-on-ones very easily, or are just not as good as an S tier build. Thanks for the follow, Conquest, really appreciate it. And thanks for the follow, Kuro, really appreciate this as well. So A and S, I would say, very good builds. B tier builds are for me builds that are definitely usable, but a step down between S and A tier builds. I would say B tier builds very good in some situations, but not as good overall. And then we have mediocre. I would say mediocre is the big part where I would say, that's my personal take, I would put builds there that I would say I wouldn't use to roam, but I can see why people like them and they can work. And then we have that tier, which I would say is the trash tier for me. I would say some builds, even if you like them, I think they are just bad. If you play them, you will just struggle with them. You might have fun in 1 out of 100 one-on-ones, but oftentimes roaming is very obnoxious. A lot of builds have to be obnoxious to win. And if you don't play an obnoxious build, you will just lose. So I would say if you play a build that is in trash tier, you're making your life a big challenge in Guild Wars 2 roaming. Yeah. So that's why I would put it like this. How much less rewards are roamers getting compared to Zergs? I would say when it comes to world versus world experience, it's quite a bit lower, but when it comes to gold per hour, it's actually not that much lower because you get a lot of stuff from the reward tracks and the pip system. So that's what the rewards are actually in there. It will be exactly at 5 PM. Yes. Our time. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with some builds that I would say are mediocre. Just because I would say, for example, I think Core Guardian roaming is mediocre. It's not trash, you can make it work, but for me, mediocre means that it is just worse than a lot of other options this class has. And I think roaming as a Core Guardian is just worse than roaming as a Willbender, roaming as a DH, or roaming as a Firebrand. For me, roaming as a Firebrand, for example, would be B tier. I think roaming as a Firebrand is not as good. Yeah, you can do it. It's in small scale, it's actually decent, but in solo scenarios, I wouldn't say it's that good. It's just not providing a lot of usefulness. It doesn't have that much crazy damage. It's probably played as a burning build, and it's just not as strong, I would say. It's better than a Core Guard in my opinion, because you have more utility baked into your tomes and stuff. But if you want to roam, I would say Willbender is a better option. Willbender could be in S tier if you want to just fight it in 1-on-1s. I think in 1-on-1s it's actually very okay if you can burst the enemy down and just pressure them. But in outnumbered situations, I feel like if you fight players that are somewhat decent at the game, they just deal too much damage to actually sustain it. That's why I would put it in annoying, because it's actually not that easy to kill enemies if they dodge your damage, if they apply weakness. I would say you have weaknesses, and therefore I would put it in A. And I think it's also quite annoying to fight a good Willbender because they just deal so much damage, even after the nerfs in World vs. World. Yeah. The patch notes are not out yet, so they will be out probably in 20 minutes or something. At least not to my knowledge. We can look for it after this tier list. And then we have DH, which is also weird. I personally don't like DH roaming. This is my personal take. I would put DH in A tier, B tier rather, because I think DH is decent at roaming. You have nice traps, you can also kill people and have a nice block up time and stuff. But I personally think it's not the best roaming build, because having something stationary like traps just is not working too well in a big map open world scenario like roaming, yeah, where you run around a lot and you typically don't stand on a point like Conquest PvP. So that's why I would say, for me, that's B tier. But like I said, this is my personal take. And of course, let me know your comments on that as well. It's also very important. I think it works way better in Cirque, that's correct. But we are talking about roaming here, and I think the traps are just easily avoidable for the most part. You can clear camps quite nice with a Guardian, but I think we are talking about fighting players. If you just want to, for example, clear camps really fast, I would say just go for a PvE build and you kill them very fast. You just have to pray that you don't fight any player. That's the part here. Okay, let's continue with Warrior. Warrior is in a weird spot, because Warrior has the first trash tier build in my opinion. I think Bladezorn is trash tier. It got nerfed so hard that the Dragon Trigger hits for 5k maximum, and that's just for, you have to hit it still. So it's very hard to hit, and 5k as a reward is not that good. You don't stun it with it anymore. It's just not as good anymore. So for me, it's a trash tier build. I know there are some people that like this build, but I think it's just, if you fight anything that is above B tier, you will lose. You have to have such a skill gap to make it work. It's actually not funny anymore. The interesting part here is, I think Berserker would go into B tier for me as well. You will see a lot of builds for me go into B tier, because they are working what they want to do, but they just will lose against a similar skill player with an S tier build. So you can play it as a Condi or even a power build, but both of them are more duelists. They are not that strong in outnumbered situations. Yeah. The interesting part is you can also play a core warrior, and for me, core warrior would also go in low B tier. I think playing a core warrior works actually decently fine in roaming. You have very tankiness baked into your kit that makes it actually way. I think for me, this is decent. Yeah, you might be right there, Chaos Stone. Maybe I'm a little bit too harsh in putting in an A tier. But I think it's not an S tier build for me. It's Berserker, for me, struggles in dealing a lot of damage. If you play a Conti Circa and fight a build like some kind of Catalyst or something that has a lot of cleanses, you will never kill it. You know, you don't have enough damage pressure to be actually a threat to anyone. And I think it's oftentimes in World vs. World, if you fight a build, most of the time they are optimized for roaming and they have some Condi cleanses, and I think a Condi Circa in that way is actually easily dealable with. Yeah, that's just my take. Yeah, I think the damage on a Condi Circa is too low for the most part. That's why I would say in duels, yes, it's actually okay, but for me, it's a high B tier or low A tier. I think it's depending definitely on what you face. For example, if you face a Willbender that just used the Contemplation of Purity, then you are big damage dealer. But if you have someone that has a lot of cleanses, not so much, I would say. Yeah, and then you have Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker would say is the same. Spellbreaker is actually a very, very good duelist for the most part, just because from its baseline design, from its baseline kit. But I personally think it's struggling a lot to deal enough damage in outnumbered situations to really pressure people. So I think you can play both of those warrior specs if you're warrior main, but I think warrior is not in a great spot when it comes to roaming. I think Warrior needs a big help. I think you could make an argument Spear on Spellbreaker is actually decent as some kind of aggressive warrior, but I think you will get outnumbered and die too fast to make that actually work. Okay, that's just my take, like I said. Then we have Revenant. I think Core Revenant is trash tier, that much is for sure. I think it's just very bad. It was never designed in a way to be used alone. Then we have Vindicator. I think Vindicator is, for me, A tier. Maybe if you're playing very well, it's S tier, because it's a very good build. You have a lot of dodges, you have a lot of damage. You can actually make it very worthwhile. For me, it's annoying more than S tier, just because it's very hard to catch it. Yeah, because they have so many evades and stuff, it's really annoying to fight. So for me, S tier builds, maybe it's S tier. It depends a bit who you asked and when to play. But I would say, I don't know. I think for me it's A tier. It's a good build for sure. Then we have Herald. For me, Herald is sadly not as good as it once was. For me, Herald is B tier. I think Herald works and is decent. It has nice condi damage. You can play it as a power build. The power build, I would say, is higher. The power build is probably an A tier. Just plays exactly the same as Willbender. Maybe is a little bit stronger if you can play it. It has a higher skill ceiling, but it's also very squishy, which makes it really hard in outnumbered situations. So I think in outnumbered situations, Vindicator is better than Herald, but Herald in 1-on-1s can be really, really strong. You have so much burst damage. So Power Herald here, Condi Herald in B tier. And then we have Renegade. I have to be honest, I don't see a lot of Renegades. I think Renegade is a decent build, especially if you played some kind of tanking hybrid build. But I would say I would put it in B tier, just because it's not as good as the other two, for sure, in my opinion. It's not as good as it once was, for sure. Yeah. So that's just my take. But like I said, B tier builds are not bad. They are just not as good as broken as S tier builds. I think Condi Renegades are fun to play, but to be honest, I think they are not as good. They have the same problem as a Condi Circle for the most part, I would say, because if you want to deal a lot of damage, you have to be melee, and you only apply Torment damage. And that means that the Torment can be easily cleansed. Of course, you can play with the full Condi build, but then you are just not as mobile. I don't know. I think it struggles a bit. Okay, let's go to medium armor classes. So medium is interesting. Let's start with Thief. Thief is very easy for me. I would put Daredevil, Deadeye in annoying tier. And just because they are, for me, annoying and they can be really strong in a 1-on-1 because they can stealth and disengage and engage whenever they want to. But I think they are not as good in outnumbered situations to make them actually in S tier. I think you can make an argument for actually playing Core Thief because it's also playable with X on something. And it can also be very annoying to fight. I would put it in low B tier for that. I think it struggles a little bit with the sustained DPS for the most part. I don't know. I think those are a little bit better than Core Thief. And then we have Spectre. I think Spectre is just not as good for roaming as it once was. It is decent if you have a small scale group and you can play as a support. But I'm talking here more about how solo roaming works. So I think if you don't have friends, I would put it in B tier. If you have friends, maybe low A tier, because you can support them so easily. But I would say for me, Spectre is also B tier. Yeah. Then we have Engineer. Engineer is the first spec where I would say you have very, very good specs in there. I'm personally not a big fan of Mechanist. I think Mechanist is for me mediocre. I know a lot of people actually like Mechanist, but I think it's the controllable pet is not as good as you really need it to be to make it work. And you can actually just survive the condi pressure or something and then you burst them. I think they are not as strong anymore. They are carried by the signet, shift signet, and therefore I would say it's not broken. I think a core engineer is actually for me annoying as well. I think with Spear they are actually very decent. They have a very strong build and just very good build in general. Then we have Holosmith and Scrapper. So you can play both of them really aggressive or can play Scrapper a little bit defensive. And I would say Scrapper for me is a very strong pick that I would say not a lot of people actually play, at least on EU. But I think it's a very good pick. I think it's for me A tier. And Holosmith, I would say, for me Holosmith is not as strong as Scrapper just because it is not as survivable. You are very bursty and that is very good in roaming, but you can't survive that easily. So I would say for me it's a B tier build too. So I think Engineer has a overall very good specs when it comes to roaming. But I think it shines more in Zerg play. But we're not talking about Zerg play here. Okay, let's talk about Ranger next. So I think Ranger is the first S tier build. Untamed is an S tier roamer. You can play it as a Condi, as a hybrid, as a power build. There are so many options. Spear is actually really strong as well. It's just a very strong build. Untamed, first S tier build for me. Very, very flexible and extremely strong if you can play it. You have a lot of buttons, yes, but if you know what you're doing, it's very, very good. On the other hand, I would say Druid is just very tanky. It's nice in small scale roaming, but for someone that is solo roaming, I think Druid is just annoying. It is really annoying how tanky it is, how much stealth access it had, and how much content it can put out. But I would say it's here for the annoyingness, not for this how strong it is. Yeah, I think it's just very tanky. You can win one-on-ones with that build, but in outnumbered situations, you are just annoying. You're not really strong. Core Ranger, I would say, is mediocre. I would say you can play it, for sure. But I would say, why are you playing Core Ranger if you have the option of Untamed? Or even Soul Beast. I think even Soul Beast is, for me, a decent roamer. Yeah. It is probably not as strong as Untamed, for sure, actually not. But in my opinion, why would you play a Core Ranger if you have the most broken specs that are available to you with Untamed? And even Soul Beast, I would say, is a very good roamer. You can play the power or hybrid or Condi version. There are actually a lot of builds for Soul Beast as well. I think for me, Soul Beast is not as good as Untamed, but still very good. Yeah. Please let me know your takes here. I think it's actually very debatable. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think I agree with you that Sword Warhorn on Druid is very annoying, but I would say it's not extremely strong. For example, I would say Vindicator is very annoying, but you can also lose to a Vindicator. And fighting a Druid with Warhorn and Sword, it's just very tanky. But if you somewhat have some sustain in your build, you actually will probably not lose to it. It's just very annoying to fight. So I would say it's for the annoyingness in A tier. I don't see the damage of a Druid being so high that I instantly die to it. Yeah. But with Mace, maybe you have enough damage or CC that you kill someone. So A tier, deserved. Okay. Let's go to the the light armor classes. Okay, that's interesting. I play a lot of light armor classes, so let's start maybe with Necromancer. So I would say Scourge for roaming. I have to be honest, I never see a Scourge roaming. I think Scourge for roaming is not as good, especially with all the Zerg nerfs. They also affect the roaming, so I would say it's for me, it's just not that good. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mediocre. You can play it, it's probably better than Trash tier, but it's actually not that good, I would say. There was once a time with Tormenting Rune to make it work very well, actually, but now it's not that good anymore. I would say Core Necromancer, in my opinion, is actually in B tier. I think it's a decent build, but if you play Necromancer, I would rather go for Reaper or Harbinger. I think Core Necro is just tanky and too slow to actually make it work. You can use swords, but I think Harbinger S tier for me. Very, very good. You can play Celestial, you can play Power. I think they are both really, really good. I think it's the best option. Yeah. I think they are all very, very decent to play as a Harbinger is very good in roaming right now. Even after the Celestial nerfs, you are probably one of the best user of Celestial stats. It's very, very good. And then you have Reaper. Reaper is interesting. I think Reaper is either high A tier or even S tier. I think it depends who you ask, because Reaper can be really annoying. You can play a Power Reaper, Condi Reaper. I think it's actually, for me, I don't know, maybe low S tier Reaper. I think Reaper is actually quite strong in roaming. The Spear helps a lot. You can play a Condi or Power variant. It's just with the Shroud, you are tanky, you have a lot of life force because of all the mobs that might die in this camp and stuff. So I think, I don't know. I would say it's A tier. I would agree. I think it's too, if you fight on Harbinger, you will lose, and Untamed you can't find at all. So I think it's for me somewhere in high A tier. Yeah, it's not S tier. Yeah. No, I don't want to get hurt by you. No, please not. So I agree. I think it's S tier. It's not as good, but yeah, I agree. It can be really annoying if you fight a really tanky Reaper with double health bar, full shroud, makes it really annoying to fight. But I think the cool part is here, they will drop out at some point, even if you don't kill the shroud, so to say, and you can still kill them afterwards because they have a 9-second cooldown on the shroud. So I think it's actually a decent build to fight because they might have to leave shroud at some point. Yeah, but I get what you mean. Okay, let's talk about the Elementalist. I think Weaver, yeah, what can I say? You can play some kind of Fire Weaver, which is actually very good in evades and how much damage it actually can put out. But, and that's the big but, you don't have stability access. And this is really annoying. If you can't play against anything that CCs you, you have a bad time because all the builds in A and S tier CC like crazy. I think, I don't know. I think for me it's a low B tier build. Maybe it's mediocre because the stability is just lacking. You get killed so easily. I think if Weaver had stability, I would say Weaver would go in high B tier, maybe in low A tier, just because it's very decent, but it doesn't have stability. And that's really bad. Yeah, you just have Armor of Earth and that's it. Just not good enough. Yeah. Core Elementalist, I would say, also mediocre. It's not as good. You have Catalyst and Tempest, and why would you pick a Core Elementalist? It's playable, but it's not very good. Then you have Tempest. For me, Tempest is B tier. I think Tempest is not as good as the A tier builds. You can very much play it, but I don't know. I think, but really playing a Dagger Warhorn or a Dagger or Warhorn Scepter build, is it really, can you kill someone with that? I don't know. Would you play a Warhorn with Weaver? I don't know. I think yes, you can kill them because you have damage, but would you survive against them if they are somewhat tanky and can punch you back? I don't know. I think for me, those two, I think Catalyst is S tier. Yeah, I think Catalyst, you can play everything on Catalyst, every single weapon, and it works. I think Catalyst is very strong. Yes, okay, yeah, you're right there. I think Weaver, as a Fresh Air Weaver, sorry, I think Fresh Air Weaver is actually decent, yeah. You're right there, with a Scepter, Fresh Air Weaver, Scepter Focus, I think this is actually a decent build. I'm not sure, maybe I put it in Annoying, actually, because if you play it well, I fought one just a week ago or something, they have a lot of invulnerability and just a lot of super speed. So in one-on-ones, they're actually decent, but in outnumbered situations, they are not that good. So I think they are somewhat like Condi Circa. They are decent in the right scenario, but in some scenarios, they just can't do anything. Yeah, I don't know. But Fresh Air Catalyst is just better. I don't know why would you play a Weaver? I don't know. I would totally agree with you, Chaos. I think that doesn't make sense to actually play something that is just mediocre in contrast to Catalyst. Catalyst is absolutely broken in my opinion. If you can play any weapon on this spec, I think something like the spec is broken. You can play a power variant, you can play a celestial variant. I think if you wanted to go for it, you can also go for Condi. It works. I don't know. It's just a broken spec. I think those three specs, if you encounter them, if you're not fighting, if you're not playing them then yourself, you have a hard time. They are just very, very good. Okay, let's now talk about Mesmer. I think Mesmer is in a weird spot because Mesmer, you can play all specs, but they are somewhat limited in what they can do because if you play power, you have to play spear. It's the best option by far. It's so good. Greatsword and spear, best weapons they can play. So I think Chronomancer for me is B tier. I think it's not as good as it once was. It's overshadowed by a Power Mirage, which I would put into A tier. You can also play a Condi Mirage. It's also very annoying to fight. I think it is not as strong as the S tier builds for sure. You lack a lot of just sustain in your kit, but it's definitely annoying to fight. If you fight a good Mirage, it's a tough time. Core Mesmer, I'm not so sure. I know there are some streamers that actually play Core Mesmer, but I'm not sure if Core Mesmer is really a build that I would say is very good. I think you can play it, you can make it work, but why would you play something that is inferior to, for example, Mirage or Words? So I would say for me, it's low B tier. You can play it, but I don't. It's not as good. And then you have Word, which is interesting. I think Word you can play a Condi, a Celestial build, a Power build. All of them are actually very decent. I wouldn't say they're S tier because you can kill them. They are just very annoying to fight. For me, they're definitely an A tier because they have so many blocks, so many evades, so many invulnerabilities that they can chain together. It's just very annoying to fight a Word, and they actually have a lot of damage as well. You can Confusion Spike someone, you can just Power Spike someone. They are overall a very good spec, in my opinion. But it's not, in my opinion, deserving to go into S tier because you still lack the flexibility of the S tier builds. I don't know. Mirage versus Virtuoso, who you got? I think that's such a skill matchup because the Mirage has potentially more damage. If the Word is not reacting in time, or if they are similar skilled, I think it's very, very not luck based, but you know, the person that misses a frame will die. Just because the spike of each other's damage will kill you. So you have to, this is really volatile, this matchup. So I would say both of them very strong. Depends a bit what you want to play more. I think this is more Mesmery. This is a little bit more, feels like an Elementalist a little bit because you have more casts, you have more, I don't know, more magic. This is a little bit more like a Thief. So more Mesmery, you dodge a lot, you evade. So I think, I don't know. I think Virtuoso can be dealt with if you have Reflects or if you have something like that. But if they use the unblockable trait, you look really bad because they will just ignore your magnetic aura. So I don't know. I think Mirage, I think it's like I said, it's really skill dependent. For some people, for me, for example, I'm not a big Word fan in competitive modes because I don't like the cast time on your F skills and that you have to look to your enemy, that you have to face your enemy. That's why I would say Mirage for me is better, but I think it's very squishy. If you don't like the squishy playstyle, then Word is better because you have more invulnerability. I don't know. I think both have their advantages and disadvantages, but like I said, I think they will not compete against the top 3, which are Untamed, Harbinger, and Catalyst. And I think that's my conclusion. I think roaming currently, you can play a lot of builds that are actually decent in A and B tier. There are actually very good builds around that you can play. But as soon as you face an S tier build, you will notice the difference. Yeah, that someone that is actually not as skilled as you might kill you or might at least pressure you way more than is deserving to because they play those 3 broken builds. Just my take, but I think a lot of people would agree with me there. I don't know. But let me know your takes here in the comments and in the chat, because I think this is very personal. I think it depends, of course, what you play. I try to play a lot of roaming builds, so I get a bit more broad picture here, but I think it depends heavily on what kind of maybe players you encounter, what kind of playstyle you yourself play. I think it's roaming is very hard to actually say, don't play this, it's very bad, because in some situations you will die to a Condi Circle, even though it's in B tier. But if you, for example, play, I don't know, an Untamed, you will probably not die to a Condi Circle. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I think you are right there that you can play a lot of Catalyst builds that are not that easy, but I would say Hammer Catalyst, Dagger Catalyst, Signet Catalyst, they are, if you put a little bit of effort in, actually not that hard to play. Especially Signet Catalyst is quite easy. But I don't know, I think if you face, for example, a Power Harp on a Hammer Cutter, this is a very skill matchup. You can win this, but you can also lose it. I don't know. I think Cutter overall is just very, very strong. I think X-Thief, I have to be honest with you, Wraith, I would agree. X-Daredevil, I fought them so often, they are very annoying to fight in one-on-ones. But, and that's the big part, I would put them in S tier if they would be able to win outnumbered situations easily, or at least deal with them. But the only way that they can deal with them is either run away in stealth, or just kill one person, then disengage and kill another person. And I think this is not very S tier deserving, because, for example, if you would play an Untamed, you would just kill them straight up in a 1v3. And the Daredevil would just kill one person, run away, get cooldowns, run back in, and kill another person. And I think this is therefore a little bit worse because your build is not as strong as someone that just can deal straight out with those people. I don't know. I think Untamed is probably the best roamer right now, but it's also not too easy to play. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Okay, so that's it. Let's see if the patch notes are up. Give me a second. There we go. Patch notes are up. So we can take a look at the patch notes. So, what is in there today? Give me 1 second. I want to update my description. Okay, so what do we have? And 1 second, I also should... it's probably not out. Okay, so of course we get a new map. We get more story. We get a new mastery track. So much was already known. We got the challenge notes for the raid, which is all 3 bosses. So we get Drea, Decima, and Ura full challenge modes, which is really cool. We don't get the legendary challenge mode. That will come in 2 weeks from Ura, but better than nothing. Then we get 12 new relics, which is really cool. It's from the core game. Really cool. And we get, of course, new Wizard's World. We will check out everything that is in there as well as the relics. Okay, what is this? The quantity of an item you wish to purchase can now be adjusted by scrolling up or down. Okay. The maximum price for purchasing an item and the minimum price for selling items can be adjusted by scrolling down. Okay, interesting. Interesting change. I don't know. Doesn't change too much, but something new, I guess. I don't know. We get... Okay. Homesteads, okay. Nothing crazy, just some fixes. Then we get the interesting convergence. We get now Drea as a boss, which is actually alternating. I thought it's just random. It's actually alternating. Okay, very interesting. But okay, I guess that's the way to do it. And some more things to work out in the convergences. Then there's some changes to raids. Nothing too crazy, I would say. If the first player to enter the instant has defeated the final boss since the most weekly set, that instance will... Okay, I don't know. Then we get some more rewards, story-based. Okay, nothing crazy. Oh, a new infusion. Let's see how that one looks. We will see it later, I guess. Then we get 12 no core relics available to all players. That's good. I think that's very important that we get more relics that everyone can use. I think that's definitely a good thing. And then new masteries. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Okay. More achievements. Titles, actually. Okay. Good. I guess more titles. That's what we need. I don't know. Very interesting. Then Portable Wizards Tower Exchange. This is so annoying, this item, because of this window. But now it's apparently a little bit better. Let's see. And we now get the guild UI helping so that we have a world versus world guild. This is interesting. Let's see how that one looks after the patch. Then decrease the damage of the Relic of the Storm Summit. Almost half the power coefficient. That's actually a huge nerf. I think some builds might not run it anymore because of that. I think if the damage was actually crazy, but now it's not as good anymore. And I think if you don't have too many jumps, it's probably not worth it anymore. You might be better off with something else. That's interesting. Very interesting. That sucks for Rangers. And I also think that sucks for Mirage, because those were actually quite a lot of jumps that you had there. They actually nerfed Mind the Gap. So the cooldown 2 seconds more, I think that's really important. It's hitting every Mesmer, but especially Virtuoso and I would say Chrono. Actually, it hits every Mesmer that uses Spear. It's actually very good. Then the cooldown is up and the power coefficient is down. I think that's a big Spear nerf. I think that's actually only those two changes here make Mesmer now way more balanced. Definitely. And they also decreased the fractured glass power coefficient. And the power coefficient of Blades in Harmony. Oh, Mesmer got really hard nerfs. Ooh, that's actually hard. I would say they are still playable for sure. That's just some nerfs to the damage. You can play it the same. But the Mind the Gap reduced or increased cooldown is actually quite a hard nerf, because then you will get your clarity buff 2 seconds less, even if you hit it consistently. I think this is actually a crazy... I don't know. I would say it's not changing the meta in that sense, but it brings the classes a little bit more together, because I think the Mesmer Spear was the only spear that was just completely broken still. So it's definitely a good way, yeah. Yes, I can link you the notes. 1 second. There they are. Okay, and then we got some nerfs to Ranger Spear in World vs. World. Especially it was absolutely broken, but in PvP it was also very strong, so we got some nerfs there. So I think that makes sense. It was very strong in the amount of damage that it could put out. So I think that's the fair point. And also some untamed nerfs. I think this is also okay. But I think Mesmer changes and Ranger changes in competitive modes actually very appreciated. I think they were really overperforming. I still think they are S tier after the nerfs. I think they're still very good, but it's a little bit less broken. I think this is actually... Yeah, but this is only in PvP and World vs. World. So nothing that I just talked about is actually affecting PvE balance. So if you enjoyed Ranger Spear in raids and strikes and PvE content, you can still use it. Nothing changed there. And you will probably even use it in PvP in World vs. World. Nothing changes there either. Just the damage that you put out will be a little bit lower, which is okay. I think you should nerf overperforming stuff in a way that is still very good, but not as broken as it was before. I think that's okay. Okay, let's quickly switch to updating, because I think the patch is out. Let's see. If you have Arc DPS installed, you should probably uninstall it, or at least remove the installation out of the Guild Wars 2 folder, just in case, because often when the patch drops, you will not have it updated and it might cause, yeah, let's say, disease to some extent. So better safe than sorry. Yeah. Okay, so I will quickly update my Guild Wars and then I will load the game. So 1 second. Will you make an Untamed guide for PvP? This is an interesting question, because I am really bad at Untamed. So I can make a build guide and explain how the build works, but I'm just not very good. So if you know someone that is actually very good at Untamed, I would really like to put some footage in there and someone that actually can also explain what they are doing. But I'm not good at Untamed. So I would take weeks to actually learn it to just make one video. And I think that's not the idea. I would rather have something that, I don't know, that works for me and I can put it out. But if you are interested in that, I can find someone maybe. Maybe links can help. Yeah, sure. I don't know. Okay, so here I am. It's loaded. I'm back. Do you remove the Arc DPS folder? You just have to remove the DLL. So you can just remove the DLL and just put it in another folder, and you can update it after the website says it's updated. Yeah. Okay, so we got a new story mission. I will just start it. But before I do that, I will of course check what is new. So let's check. What do we get here? In the gem store, I don't know. Some new skins, I guess. Then we will get new blacklines stuff. Nothing too crazy. We also wanted to check out, are the core relics? You probably can see the core relics in the legendary relic. Let's check. But I think you can actually see them because you don't have to unlock them because they are core. Let's check it. Yeah, there. Fire. That was not there before. Gain fire aura after using a healing skill. Fire aura now increases your outgoing strike damage. How much does it increase? 7%. This is actually quite a lot. You can probably use this now on Viva, for example, where you can upkeep fire aura quite consistently. Especially if you have a Tempest as a support, of course. Maybe that's actually playable. I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. For a corp relic, definitely. And aura shares even better, yeah, that's true. I don't know. Very interesting. I think it's in competitive modes. I don't know if you would put that on rather than Firework, because Firework relic is just better, but I don't know. What else do we have? Not a lot of... I think Unification is new. Gain Frost Aura and Light Aura after using a healing skill. This is very selfish, but it's very broken on a Catalyst, for example, or something like that. I don't know. I think this is really, really good. I don't know. They are actually very going hard with the auras. I don't know. Then Searching, gain Shocking Aura for 4 seconds after using a lead skill. I think this is one of the most iconic relics that we have. The reason for that is we had that as a 6th rune bonus, which is really, really good because, for example, Power Herald used that back in the day because you have 2 elite skills, or rather 3 actually, because you have the Glint elite. And this is actually really, really good. So I think this can be worthwhile to run in competitive modes. I think in PvE that's not worth it, but in competitive modes, why not? Yeah. Is healing skill any skill that heals or just utility one? It's always this skill. It's nothing else. Only this skill, with the exception of Engineer. I think Engineer, the F1, which is the tool belt skill of your healing skill, sometimes also counts as your healing skill. It depends on what kind of healing skill you have equipped. For example, if you have the medkit equipped, that works there. Yeah. Yes, let's check them out. What is new here as well? Just don't want to skip anything. Let's read. I think Relic of Eagle is new. 10% more damage against foe with 50% health or less. This is actually, I think that might be worth it over Fireworks Relic in some situations in PvP. But in PvE, that's just a 5% flat damage buff if you fight enemies all the time. If you look at it like that, 50% uptime, 10% chance more damage might be worth in some I don't know, some situations. I think this is worthwhile. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. Very interesting. Golemancer. There we go. Summon a golem while in combat. 60 seconds ICD. I mean, that's just for people that like to have minions going around. I think that was one of the most iconic things to have on your rune, to have a golem summoning. I don't know. Yeah. Holosmith. Yeah. Lich, summon a jagged horror. Yeah. I don't know. You have to see how this works. You probably can break it. It's always with this minion relics that you can summon them endlessly and they don't despawn or something like that. I don't know. It's actually really interesting. They brought back the summon, the pirate bird, the parrot one. This is also very iconic back from the day, but I'm not sure if it's really that crazy good, Ogre with the rock dog, it's the same. I don't know. It's just privateer, that's what it's called. The parrot, I don't know, 60 seconds. I think you will not use it in most meta builds, but I think it can be really annoying if you're a new player because there are so many minions that you don't know what attack to dodge. I don't know. Maybe. What else do we have here? I think I skipped some because I did not talk about 12 relics yet, did I? This one is interesting. Gain stacking condition damage when you are hit by a poisoned foe. 10. Okay, so can permanently upkeep this because when this triggers, it refreshes the duration of all stacks. 10 stacks, that means 500 condition damage that you can upkeep permanently. I think this is actually in some PvE builds. I don't know. You have to get hit by a poisoned foe. I don't know. It sounds really weird. Maybe you can actually... I think this is actually on a Condi build in PvP. This can be worthwhile. Yeah, I guess. Condi Soul Beast, maybe Condi Untamed, maybe even Condi Necro. This is actually interesting. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Very interesting. By the way, thanks for all the follows. Thanks, Rice. Thanks, links. Thanks, anonymity. And don't forget, you get drops. So be sure to activate your drops, or don't have to activate it. Just link your Twitch account to your Guild Wars 2 account, and you will get passively the amount of rewards that you get. So you get the backslot expansion. So Wraith just posted link with my command. And I think the most important one is the backslot expansion that you get for free. So be sure to do it. Yes, you can, of course, get the drops here as well. Just watch my stream and you will get rewarded for it if you have connected your Guild Wars 2 account to your Twitch account. Okay, so I think this is a very interesting relic in competitive modes for roaming, for PvP, but not for PvE. I think that's not gonna work. Yeah, I think it's really good that they put a backslot expansion in the drops, because I think last time they just put in some outfits or some skins that I already had, for example, so I did not have any interest in actually getting the drops. So I think it's better to have something that everyone cares about. So the backslot expansion is a really good thing, for sure. Do you have progress tracker linked for the drops? Yeah, I think so. I at least I enabled it. I'm not sure if it's working, but I think it should. Yeah. You can check it on your profile. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the normal thing that is always enabled. Yeah. Yes, it's better to watch on Twitch right now than on YouTube, just because you get drops if you want to get the drops, of course. And a free backslot, I think, who would say no to that? Yeah. Okay, so I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's all actually. I don't know. I think the summoning ones are not that crazy, but the ones that are actually having an effect, like the auras or like the thorns one, I think they're actually quite decent. I think they're actually quite good. Okay, so let's check out the Wizard's Vault. I have a lot of stuff. I think I have a lot of stuff here open. So let's check out the rewards. Acquiring this item unlocks a quest. Oh, it's a quest again. Ah, that's where you get the infusion. I already saw the trailer. This is actually a very nice item. Now you can't see it, but this is very nice. It's not only giving you an interesting infusion, but this, I would say, something foresty, something fitting to some Sylvari. Maybe it looks a little bit like Kutsu, but it is an infusion. But it's also giving you a power agony infusion. So that's exactly that. What gives you typically costs around 50 to 100 gold if you would go for the ghostly infusion, something like that. It's actually nice that you get that for free if you just invest some astral acclaim. Then we get a new weapon set. Let's check it out, how it looks. So, yeah, I mean, some very nature-y focused, I don't know. Interesting for sure. Not too crazy, not too flashy. Very grounded, to say the least. But it's okay. Better having a new weapon set than nothing else. I guess that's fine. Then more skins. Very classical. Shoulder, gloves, and boots. New chair. This is also very interesting. Thanks for the follow. Chaos, by the way, and Aoki and Ed Rocky. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. And of course, we get the same thing. Essence of Gold. It's always the same thing. And we get the new legendary starter kit. Let's check out what is in there. So it's Howler, Kutsu, Minstrel, and Frenzy. Okay, I mean, so Frenzy is an underwater weapon that probably no one wants to do. Minstrel is an offhand weapon, yeah, okay. And then you have Kutsu and Howler. I think it's not the best kit. I have to be honest, it's not the best kit. Because it's not including any crazy ones like Sunrise or something where everyone would go for. So, but better than nothing, I guess. And you can get it for quite cheap, and you not, even if you don't go for the legendary, you get, for example, the Gift of Magic or Gift of Might. And that can be helpful for any legendary that you want to craft that uses those. So I don't know. Really nice. Yeah, I think the choices are not that great. I would probably also go for Kutsu, but I think I already have a Kutsu from the one from the last one. Yeah, I think I have a Kutsu. I already have one, so I will probably not select Kutsu then. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. Did they add a discount for the Living World season? I don't know. I can't see them because I already have them, so I can't check it. Sorry. Then again, build slower, build template, mystic coins, of course, mystic clovers. Yeah, typical. Nothing crazy here. But I guess new skins, I like that. We will probably get a big drop in Mystic Coins. Yeah, we get, it's going down. Always when the new Wizard's Vault comes out, everyone selects Mystic Coins and sells them instantly, and you get more gold, and it drops. So if you want to buy Mystic Coins, now is the time to buy Mystic Coins, because they will actually go back up in a few months. So it's actually very interesting, this dynamic. Every 3 months you get a big Mystic Coin dump. Everyone sells their Mystic Coins because they are just greedy and want the gold. So just keep that in mind. If you want to get Mystic Coins, a lot of them, I think probably now and the next few weeks is actually the cheapest time. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I will just accept the legendary starter kit, and then I can finally accept all my floaty things here. This really annoys me. My OCD is kicking in. Now I can select all of them, and that's good. And I don't know, I think Howler is a nice legendary. Howler is a Warhorn. I think it's actually quite underrated. I can show you. It's a legendary. It looks very down to the ground when you just have the weapon. It's just a Warhorn with a wolf themed thing, but if you blow in it, you have some nice sounds, and you get also some kind of... Yeah, I can also show you in game. You get actually some really nice foggy trail. You get some cool wolf face across you. It's actually very decent, I would say, decently looking. And I think it's fitting very, very much to Ranger, but it can also fit to Warrior and to some extent even Elementalist, because you have the, how is it called? The mist that is actually following you. 1 second, do I have it somewhere? Yeah, there it is. So, no, not this one. I have too many skins, I don't know. 1 second. So, I have to... So you get this foggy mist around you, and it's also the trail that you get. It's not very flashy, because you get a lot of other legendaries that are way more flashy in your main hand, but it's quite nice, and I think this is very fitting to Elementalist too. And if you blow in it, you get this wolf howling as well. I think it's actually very worthwhile. Yeah. And it's a good combo with like Filthy Mentions with Meteorology, because I think this fits quite well for Elementalist. Yeah. Okay, so I guess let's quickly check what else we got with the new patch. So Mist-Burnt Barrens is the new map. A few more achievements. Let's see how many more masteries we get. Homesteading, 1 more thing. 6 more. And this one I need a story instance, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I like the wolf animation as well. I think it's a very decently looking legendary. It's overshadowed by a lot of other legendaries, but I think if you like something like the new legendary spear, I think it's actually very similar, I would say. Yeah. Okay, so I have to go and find someone. Where is it? I will just want to go to the new map. It's the most important part here for me. I really want to see the new map, how it's looking, how if we have a meta event or something. And other than that, I'm not too interested in the story. So if you are looking for someone that plays through all the story and gives their opinion on it, it's not my type of gem. So bear with me here. I just want to get to the new map and see how it's going. Maybe get some achievements and also see the new mastery. But I think it's actually not too much interesting. I think it's just giving you a special action key as far as I know. But I guess... Oh, there's another waypoint. I don't know. I think it's okay, but I would say it's better having more interesting masteries. I think like Gliding or the Heart of Thorns ones, but I think, yeah, the last ones were not that crazy good. Yeah, you can see a lot of people do this story right now. So I guess the new map will probably be up here. Oh no, it's here actually. It's actually quite far away. Interesting. Yeah, let's see how it looks. I think from the trailer it looked quite nice. Hopefully we get some kind of cool events as well that are actually really worthwhile doing for the next weeks. I really hope that it has some big longevity to it, because I think if you have a nice map, you will end up like Path of Fire maps. They are really nicely designed maps. They're really big. They have a lot of cool things on the map, but no one actually plays them nowadays. You just do it once and that's it. And I think this is really, really sad. I think it should be like some intention to go back. I think that's the most important thing, and I really hope they will do that. But let's see. Let's see. Let's go on the boat. On the boat. Okay. Into the Valley of Shadow. Ui. That's dark. Perform the facepalm moment after Pokey loses his lunch. Okay, I guess that's okay. No. I can already do it. That's probably not what is actually meant for this achievement, but okay, I guess. That's why I always check the achievement tracker here, so that I don't have to redo most of the achievements. It's a little bit annoying to redo all of them. So what do we have here? Into the Valley of Shadow, defeat 35 Mossad ghosts during the ambush. Okay. Probably nothing new other than those two that I have to get. 35 and not following. Okay, not following is easy. Killing 35, I don't know how hard that is. Let's see. Just want to get to the new map. Don't have to talk to all this story here. I remember when Chantia Wilds came out, there was this one story instance that took at least half an hour or something, even longer, I guess. It was crazy. It was actually insane. You could not go out of there without listening to all the NPCs if you wanted to progress the story. It was actually insane. For me, as someone that is not interested in Guild Wars 2 story, it was really, really annoying. But let's hope that we get to the new map, and then we can get something like this portal scrolls, and I can get my characters there, because that's one thing that is really a little bit annoying, I would say. Yeah, and the bears talk even slower than the usual NPCs, so this is really not my type of content, I would say for sure. I think it should be more like there should be some gameplay and there would be the story in the meantime, so you can listen to it, but I guess that's not what they want to do. They want to actually have people listen to their story that they wrote, that they recorded. I don't know. Yeah, this I would agree. I think there should be some kind of skip button, at least when you do it the second time. But I have to be honest. I think it should be there the first time as well. I don't know. I think, why would you... Players like me that play the game for hours a day, but why do I want to sit in story instances just to listen to some NPCs that I don't care about? Okay, there we go. We are on the new map. So we have only one heart there, only one quest. That's interesting. And one waypoint. Okay, so let's do the... Let's talk to her first, because it's very likely that I have to do the heart at some point. Yeah, sometimes I feel like they are falling asleep to some extent, yeah. So what do we have to do? Assist the codons, keeping the camp running. I don't know. There are some achievements as well. Ooh, new weapon set. A new armor set. Okay. Ah, that's cool. They're actually showcasing the armor set, and you can ask them where it is from. That's actually quite nice. I like that. Yeah. I think the first time I agree, the first time is okay, but I don't like it if you get forced to do something again. Oh no, I have to farm those again. Oh, that's annoying, the unusual coins. But I guess it's something to do in the map. That's okay. Yeah. Where do I have to get those thingies here. Okay, let's explore the map. It's better than doing the quest here. You can get only one new weapon skin from the world. So from the new weapon, you're talking not about the legendary weapon, but about those skins, the selection box. You can get them. I can show you actually. You can accept them once, and then you have it still there, and you can get another one. So you can get multiple of those boxes until you have the maximum number, which is probably 16 or 17 skins, and you can select all of them. So you get one selection thing, and so you should be able to get all of them if you have enough astral acclaim. So that's what I always do. And it's also very convenient because now I got the X skin and it's not in there anymore. So I know all the skins that are in there are actually not unlocked for me. So this is somewhat helpful. But yeah, it's not really. The amount of fashion items they add each patch is starting to piss me off because I can't manage. Yeah, I think that's one of the good things with the newest expansions, with Chantier Wilds, and to some extent Soto as well, that we get a lot of new fashion stuff. Because back in the Heart of Thorns and POF, we did not get any skins, maybe one armor set with the whole expansion cycle, and the rest was in the gem store. Now we get actually some skins that are very easy to acquire just doing the maps. I think this is really good. I think this is one of the best things they did with the new expansions. I don't know, it's just, I think it's good. I like that, yeah. So what do we have here? Mist Search. Okay. Interesting. So let's explore the map a bit. I mean, it looks cool, I have to be honest. Look, those ruins, really big ruins actually, very tall buildings. I don't know, interesting. Now I'm thinking of creating a ranger with all the nature style. Yeah, I think especially with the Kutsu, yeah? With the Kutsu in the legendary starter kit, maybe you have to go for Kutsu then, yeah? Maybe I can kill some enemies. No, they don't count. Oh, that's so sad. I have to do some weird stuff then. Okay, let's go for some map exploration. What's that? Mursat Mirror. Okay, interesting. That's the new material that I need to gather. Mursat Chunk. Mursat Obsidian Chunk. Can you sell that? You can actually sell it. Okay. Interesting. It's actually decent to sell right now. Okay, let's explore the map a bit. Yeah. Let's see what is new, how it looks. I think it looks quite like a mix between Chantier Sentry and Lowland Shore with the trees, but still those reddish color scheme in there. I don't know, looks quite nice. Get an achievement, very good. Okay, nice, we get, it's actually interesting. There's a mastery point. Let's grab the mastery point. Oh, never mind. I have to get some achievement here first. Or some kind of mastery. Okay. Where did I get ported to? Okay, interesting. Very interesting. So don't fly in the red thing if you don't want to get teleported. Guess that's fair. Where is the mastery point? Okay, let's grab the mastery point. Maybe if I can get there. Yeah, there it is. Very good. And then maybe let's go to the NPC. The NPC is coming to me. That's even better. So and don't worry, with the experience, you can of course go for full boosters and stuff to get the maximum amount of experience, but it's not really necessary. It's not that many things, you can easily max them out. And even if you don't have full mastery points, I explained it every time when it comes to masteries, you can actually also get spirit shards in the background. It's really important if you have the mastery not able to unlock yet, but you can still get the in the background spirit shards from leveling up. So if you're full on this, but you don't have the mastery points to actually spend and get the mastery, you can still get spirit shards from doing events, from doing stuff. I think that's really nice. So let's do the event here. Let's see what is this related to. I don't know. Ooh, that's a lot of damage they do here actually. I should also probably pop some experience boosters and stuff, just to get the most amount of things that I can do. Maybe this. I have this. I guess the rest is just this one. Yeah, good. Just a little bit more experience. I don't care too much about leveling those instantly, but I mean, it's not as important to get the homesteading mastery and stuff, but I just want to not waste the experience that I will get anyway, just double it. Why not? This one counts. That's interesting. Some of them count actually to killing them, but I guess that's fine. So this is one of the 3 events, I guess, that they mentioned that they are consistently going, so there will be always some kind of event going. So you never spawn into a map where there is nothing going on. I think that's very good. Let's just hope the events are needed for something that you can really consistently farm them, like some kind of meta event or something. So the new currency here is Curious Mossad Rune Shard. Okay. And then I got a new achievement, I guess. That's the first time. Okay, what do we do then? Collect some stuff. Bloodstone shards. Warclaw. Sniffing. Okay. Okay, there we go. Diminished bloodstone shard. Okay, and then we turn them in, I guess. Ooh, that gives a lot of stuff. Holy shit. Ah, no, it didn't. It was just the event that gave a lot of stuff, not this single turn in. Okay, that's fine. I'm really excited to see what happens at the end of those events. Because we don't know what happens, I guess. So, something new, something interesting. Maybe it's some kind of end boss, maybe it's some kind of, I don't know, some defense event or something like that, I don't know. Just hitting all the mobs to get some quest progress. There will for sure be some optimal way to actually get the quest progress, but I'm currently not knowing it, so I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can. Not only for the quest progress, actually also for my general progress of my mastery. Just want to min-max everything here that I can do. And then go on my Warclaw and sniff a bit. There we go. It's weird that I can't talk to her when I'm on the Warclaw, but okay. Almost done with the achievement, with the event. Very good. I'm probably one of the, let's say, only surviving tryhard players that are currently playing in the map, because most of the tryhard players, or at least some more veterans, are actually probably going for the challenge modes right now of the new boss or raid bosses. So it makes sense if you want to see someone hardcore playing, probably watch some raid stream right now. Just want to showcase the map and stuff. Okay, you get achievements just for completing those events. It's actually funny. You don't have to do anything special. I guess that's okay. I like that. So what do we have to do now? Wait, I guess. Thanks for the follow. ADFS and repeat. Thanks a lot. Feels a little bit like Dragon's Den, to be honest. We have those escort events and stuff. When are you trying new Raid Wing? I don't know. Depends when I find enough people to be interested in that. Normally I use some kind of tryhard group for that, but they don't have time right now. So, let's see. Oh, there's some boss. I will, of course, if I find the time, I will also do guides about and stuff and showcase it. But currently not. I want to showcase the map a bit and let the guys from the world's first race actually showcase the bosses. Yeah. Let's see how long it takes to kill them. Yeah. I think depends how hard they actually scaled them. Because I think if they did it really high in the amount of difficulty, then it might take quite a while. I really doubt that they are my parents. I think that would be really weird. I don't know. I think I don't know anything about Guild Wars 2 story anymore. I think Anne must have something invisible normally that you can't see with the human eye. I don't know. I think that's something like that was the last time I remembered about something about the Mercer. I'm really not into the story of Guild Wars 2, I have to be honest. Okay, so this is all giving me quest progress, which I really like. Very good. And I guess we will at some point get this Jade construct here alive. I really hope I can already farm some stuff for the legendary backpack that will come out. Because that would be really annoying if you get your legendary backpack stuff only when the legendary backpack is already released. So you can't really pre-farm stuff. Because that would make all the stuff that I'm currently doing not useful for my legendary backpack that I want to get in the future. Okay, there we go. What is this? Okay, so you get more rewards based on how many events you actually participated in. That's actually cool. Again, use the special action key as soon as you have it, just because this is the same one that we got from, I think, Lake Doric or something. So just instantly use it to get rid of those really nasty conditions on you. Okay, so far so good. I think if I kill this guy, we should probably have enough for the mastery. Turia is actually just a ping-pong ball between two pro-Chinese children playing intense matches with it. I mean, I don't know. For me, that could be the case. I don't know. I think, though, that ArenaNet is actually not very likely to put any political things in anymore. They did back in the day, but nowadays not so much anymore. They were actually somewhat politically motivated with a lot of their stories back in the really start of Guild Wars 2. But now it's actually not that much anymore. So I'm not sure if that's really the case. There we go. That's what I like. Achievements and quests. Wait, what? There's one heart. Okay. Yeah, I mean that was actually I actually found that nice with the Norn or with the Kodan, with the lowland shore Kodan and the, let's say, the normal Kodan or the other Kodan from the base game. I think that was a really interesting story. I actually liked that one. Oh, there's a chest, okay. Yeah, exactly. The whiter and the brown Kodan. Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think back when Path of Fire released, I would say Path of Fire and Living World Season 4. I think those are the stories where I would say, at least even me as someone that was not interested in Guild Wars 2 story, I would say they did a very good job. I have to be honest. Nowadays, I think it's actually okay. I like the Kodan, I like their storytelling, and I think actually it's not bad. For me, it's just very slow, and I'm not interested too much, you know? It's not, I'm not hyped to see how the story concludes, because I'm not really, I don't know, I'm just not that interested in it. But I would say I agree, Path of Fire and Living World Season 4, the curry, the story, the cutscenes and stuff, that was really good. I liked it. Yeah. Do you remember which relic it was that does extra damage? Healing on Flame Aura. That's called Relic of Fire. Let me check. Yeah, Relic of Fire. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I'm personally, I don't know. I played it. I think this is a common argument. People like to have some story in games, but I'm a little bit on the opposite fence. I play a game to actually enjoy the gameplay. So I like the combat of Guild Wars 2. I think it's one of the best combats in any game, and I enjoy the game for that. So I want to have as much combat as I can get. Yeah. And if I have story that is mediocre, I would rather have more gameplay. And if I want to have story, I would watch a movie, I would read a book, something like that. Yeah. And I can see why people want story, but I personally don't like it. So that's my take on this. And I'm really happy if we can skip a lot of story, because if it's in there, people would be happy that they have it, but I don't want to watch it. You know, I don't want to waste my perfectly fine time listening to some bears talking very slowly. Okay, so what do we have here? I think it's the same guy, just in a little bit smaller than the previous one. I don't know about anything about that place here, I have to be honest. So this is like, I get more rewards from the grand chests if I have multiple of those stacks. I guess that's similar to Cold War, where you get more, I don't know, it's really interesting. I mean, I like it that you get forced to do more events to get more loot. I think that's very nice. It's like So 1 actually on Dragon's End, I guess. Where you get more rewards for participating in the pre-event. I think that makes sense. Maybe there is then a real end boss here. Ooh, that hurts. The loot is on fire. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I like this kind of design that you have to participate consistently to get more loot. I think this is nice. For me, I think it has to be a little bit... The time that you spend in one map should not be longer than half an hour, you know? That the meta event doesn't take maybe at maximum 40 minutes. I think having a meta event or some kind of event, that event chain that takes 2 hours, like the So 1 or Drizzlewort one, I don't like that. I personally like stuff that is rather short and you can go to the next one, because then I would be very likely to just jump in and do it again. If I have to prepare for 2 hours to get the final reward, I don't like that too much. Let's see how long this one takes. Survey findings, half of it. It's probably already at half. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it's a female one. I don't know. It looks like a fiery ice elemental. You're right there. Yeah. That's like the strike mission from the intern, the Freezy strike, where you have to protect this guy. It's actually very similar. Interesting. You have to collect this, I guess. Oh. What is going on? Okay. I don't know if I dodged the nuke or if nothing happened. could be the case as well, you know. That there's just some bug and the attack doesn't do anything. I think I dodged it, but I didn't see the evade pop up, so I don't know. Did look way more scary, the telegraphing, than the attack itself, but okay. Okay, I don't know what happens after we kill this guy or this skull. Let's see. Oh, another split phase. Okay. So do they heal them? I think they will probably heal it. I don't know. Or we have to kill them to actually get the Bloodstone energy. Probably. Yeah, it looked like Skyhammer attack or something like that. But I did not see anything that really hurt me. But I don't know. Okay, there we go. Now we get the big attack again. Let's see what happens. No, nothing happened. I did not even dodge it anymore at the end. I don't know what this attack looks very scary and doesn't do anything. Now it's dead. Okay, I already have 4 of those. Okay, interesting. That was the final event of the event chain. Oh, we get grand chest. Let's open the grand chest. And there, okay, this is where I get to put all my things in there. What do I get out of it? A mini? Ah, this is the infusion. Yeah, this is the infusion. And you can actually sell it. You can actually get it by completing challenge mode bosses or doing the meta event here. Very interesting. Can you sell it? Probably you can sell it. Bloodstone. How can I... I don't know. No one put out an order yet. I guess that's. I will not be the first. Didn't get it. Sad. Would be funny. Yeah, it's always like that. That some very scary looking attack is actually not that important, and then the not scary attack that you can't see in the all of the weird stuff going on the screen anyway, that will kill you. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was needs more telegraphing. I don't know. I think it's very problematic. A lot of the attacks are already very visual cluttery, and I don't know if it's better to have even more of those. I don't know. Okay, so what do we have? There's one. So let's see what happens when the survey is complete, whatever that means. Yeah, I think this is Arborstone meets Chantirwalds. I think this is what it is. It looks exactly like Arborstone with those reddish, you know, plants with this reddish bloodstone everywhere. I don't dislike it, and I think it's okay to reuse assets if you just reuse the asset once. I don't know. I think it's fine. I know people always want to have something new, but I think if you can't have more content, then I would say it's better to have a little bit more content that has reused assets. I think that's also the same with the raid. I think that we have the raid and that we have the conversions, we have the open world boss, we have the story boss. All of them have the same bosses in there. I think that's good. If you can't get more content any other way, better have more content like that. I'm playing currently Power. This is a Power Mesmer or Power Chronomancer, support Chronomancer. I think this is a decent build for playing in open world. Just because it's providing quickness and does a lot of damage too, so I don't need to care about my allies and really hope that they deal a lot of damage, but I can also do it actually on my own. Welcome, Courier, welcome. Yeah, and be sure to also check out if your Twitch is linked to your Guild Wars 2 account, because then you can actually get the drops. And this time the drops are actually very good. So you get a bag slot expansion for free, just for watching, I think, 5 hours of any Guild Wars 2 streamer that actually has it activated. The drops, so really, really good. Yeah. Oh, I will get lethal amounts of spectral agony. Turn around quickly. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, I think it's really nice that you get the backslot expansion for free, because last time we only get some skins. I think that's also okay, but it's way better to have something that I would say everyone cares about. Even I care about backslot expansion. I have to be honest, I care only about them because I save them up, you know. I have 23 laying here in my bank, just I don't know why, but I better get the drops too, you know. So, and it's a good, I think it's a win-win situations for everyone, for the viewers and for the streamer too. So that's good. It's safe to explore. Okay, so we can explore it now. That's good. Okay. Interesting. It said it's safe to explore, but then it's not. Very interesting. Got an achievement. Very good. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Guild Wars 2 players actually have a very chaotic inventory, so I think that's not something too crazy, to be honest. So don't worry about it too much. But of course, if you get more back slots, you always have to look like that. If you get more back slots, you just avoid the, let's say, chaos for a little bit longer. But at some point, you have to clean your inventory. So I always try to say to a new player, try to understand what kind of stuff you need and the other stuff you sell or salvage. Because having a clean inventory makes the game way more, well, not interesting, but way more playable to me. So I think it's quite bad if you have let's say chaotic inventory and you don't want to open it because of that. I think that makes the game worse. So just try to keep it clean so that in the end you have more fun playing. If you are not bothered by it, then don't. That's not a big deal. Just saying that it's better to start and try to clean it rather than always avoid it. Okay, so I have a bow. Where do I have to get the... Workbench, okay. Okay, I have the string and I have to get some wood, okay. Okay. And now I craft a bow. Okay. I see. Is it done? Okay, I gave it. Okay. What do you recommend for someone who likes like power DPS build but wants a bit of sustain for solo? What is a good... The problem is a lot of power DPS build are really glass cannon. So I think if you want to go for some kind of raid build, most of them are actually somewhat, yeah, have some kind of sustain issue without a healer. But I would say power virtuoso is decent because you have invulnerability and you have some nice healing skill that you can use all the time as well. What else is good in a power? I think Power Reaper is actually probably a very good pick as well. Power Reaper is very good because you have the Shroud, you have some nice healing baked into the Shroud. So I think Power Reaper would probably be my thing, yeah. Yeah, Berserk is actually also decent. That's a good point by Cow here. I think Power Berserker actually has a very nice sustain baked into the kit as well. But I would say Berserker is very... If you like the fast-paced combat of Berserker, that's good, but some people say it's too spammy for them. So be warned, that might not be for everyone. Yeah. Okay. Captured lightning. Ah, I have to get some... Where is it? I need a char. Where can I get a char? To capture the lightning, you know, just with the... Where are those? Ah, the empty bottle. Okay. Just like in the quests or the event that you actually could do. This is really interesting because that's one of the events that I actually did for the quests in Chantier Wilds as well. So I know about it. And we can get more contribution. Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people have a big or somewhat big inventory and don't know what all the stuff in the inventory does. So I think that's a big problem. I get that. I tried to make guides about it, but there are so many items in Guild Wars 2 to actually, you know, tell you, okay, this item you can safely delete. This item you have to salvage. It's so hard to make a guide about it because there's so many items. So I think it's, I see why people are hoarders, because you just don't want to throw stuff away. That's actually maybe helpful in the future. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. But I'm just saying it probably will make it better if you have some kind of clean inventory to open it up in the future. I think that's just my take. Ooh. Yeah, like I said, I think if you don't have... So I would always first go and say, okay, deposit our materials. Then I would salvage my stuff that you can salvage. Salvage all. Does it work? And then we can continue. And after that, I will check the trading post. What can I sell? Just sell all this stuff, you know? Everything that you don't know what it does, just sell it, because you can always buy it back later. Yeah. And then what is still left, you just check, think about it. And if it really is cluttering up and you can't use it anywhere else, maybe put it on a bank or another character. But typically I would say if you don't know what it is, just throw it away. I don't know. I really like to have a clean inventory, and I think having stuff that is just there for some kind of trophy or stuff, I would just throw it away at some point. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. Even in World vs. World, you get a lot of stuff. What helps there, I would say, in World vs. World is that you activate the reward track indefinitely, so that you always get the same reward track, and then you can stack those things in the bank or something. Yeah, that helps for people that really want to min-max there. Yeah, but the thing is, if you delete an item that is needed for a legendary, typically either you can get it back from a vendor, or if you need it back, you can also ask support about it if it's really necessary for that. If you want to be safe there, you can, for example, oftentimes I don't have an example here, but if you right click an item that is saying trophy, and then you can, then it opens and it says, where is it? No, I don't have any item for that. Then it says open in, let's say, achievement, or open the achievement for that. Then you should not say, then you should save it if it's saying something like that. But other than that, I would rather say, if it's just some trash item, sell it on a vendor like I could do, go to sell chunk. That helps. Double click all the, let's say, bags or containers, and then, I don't know. I think this is helping a lot if you just keep doing that consistently. I see why a lot of people struggle to have actually clean inventory in Guild Wars 2 if you get a lot of loot in World vs. World. Because I think in World vs. World, if you have a indefinitely repeating reward track, you don't get a lot of loot, I have to be honest. Because you can actually, all of it is decently well structured if you get all of those bags and you just save those bags up and put them in the bank, for example. So for example, I, on my bank, have a specific tab where I put all my boxes and I just double click them. So I get those Kantan champion weapon boxes, Kantan crafting boxes. I just save them up and I can then go to the vendor and just accept them there. That helps. But if you go for multiple reward tracks, yes, it can get quite messy. I agree. But like I said, I think it's better to clean your inventory when there is not too much in there, because if you clean it when it has 200 slots already taken up, it can take quite a while and it can be really annoying if you don't have more spaces to open all this stuff. So, I mean, this is my somewhat main PvE character right now, so it has such a big and very filled inventory, because you can see most of the stuff here is actually consumables that I can use in dungeons and stuff in Fractals. So it's really filling up my inventory. But down here, so I have a lot of stuff that I really have on a lot of characters. So some stuff that I get consistently, so it stacks on there, and when it is full, then I can salvage it. I have a lot of weapons that I can swap around if you need more weapons. Let's say, for example, impact sigil. Sometimes I want to have a force sigil. Sometimes I want to have a concentration sigil, whatever, yeah. And then I have, of course, a lot of those potions that you can use in Fractals and dungeons to get more damage and get less damage from an enemy type. That helps to min-max. I'm a min-maxer after all, so that helps. And then I have a lot of chunk as well in there. So just stuff that I use, that I get a lot, and I don't want to always have something and clean it up. So for example, I have a lot of food here. I have some KP from Fractals and stuff that I get consistently, and I just save them here until I have a stack and put it on my character. But yeah, just saying, it's not that clean. I have cleaner inventories. Some of your builds set to get Runes of the Trapper. There are none for sale. Heartbroken. Yeah, that's the sad part. Rune of the Trapper is one of the very annoying runes. I can show you the wiki, actually. 1 second. 1 second. Because it's one of the very, very annoying runes to get. Because, you can see it now, the wiki says that you can craft it, but you have to get the superior rune of the Trapper recipe. Yeah, the crafting stuff is very cheap, or somewhat cheap. You can just buy it and you can craft it yourself. But the recipe you can only get from, where is it? From a random drop, or you can, I think you can also craft it. Can you get it from the TP? Let's check. Yeah, you can just buy it from the TP, and then you can craft the rune yourself. That's how it works, but it's really weird that you can't buy the rune itself. Yeah, but if you know that, then why not just buy it? And if you have one of those 3 crafting professions leveled, you can actually craft it for rather cheap. Just saying, that might help. Yeah, but it's not really. I think the Trapper rune in a lot of my builds is the most optimal way to play it, just because it gives you the most amount of damage. But there are so many other runes that you can use that are slightly inferior, but still worth it to run. So don't worry too much about it. Yeah, just saying. Yeah. Yeah, I think crafting in Guild Wars 2, especially as a new player, I would say you don't really have to do it. I think crafting in Guild Wars 2 is something that you would do as an endgame player and want to just get the achievements. But other than that, you can use it to level your character, but it's not necessary. So I think crafting in Guild Wars 2 is very outdated. It's not really needed for anything other than crafting legendaries. And even those you can actually buy from the TP if you have enough money. So in my opinion, it's not really that you have to invest a lot of time in understanding crafting. Yeah, so just play the game, play what you enjoy, do some PvE, do some even competitive modes if you like, but don't invest too much time. How can I interact with those? Into something that you don't even enjoy or is not really necessary. Just saying. So yeah, I think this is important to mention, because otherwise, I don't know. I think investing time in something that you don't enjoy in a game will make you either stop enjoying the game or making you even quit the game. So just stick to something that you enjoy. And if you really need crafting at some point, you can go into it. But I think for just going into crafting for the Trapper rune is not worth it. Just buy something else, for example. I don't know. There are so many runes that you can easily get that are with condition damage. So, for example, what is there? You can use Nightmare rune. You can use, I don't know what. You can also look it up here just by going for runes. And where is it? Upgrade components, armor runes. You can go for exotic, and you can just check what kind of exotic rune gives you condition damage, and that would be good enough. For example, scavenging can be worth it. there are so many that are actually okay. Tormenting can be good, but of course it's quite expensive. You can just look for the cheapest one that is also giving you condition damage. Yeah. There are actually a lot of options there, so it's not really, you don't have to invest a lot. For example, this one is probably the best one that you can get. Superior Rune of the Undead. You get toughness, condition damage. Yes, you don't need the toughness, but still very good. So good replacement, for example. Just saying, you don't always have to use the best optimal rune that you can get. It's not necessary. Crate can help depending, of course, if you need bleeding damage a lot, but very good point there, yeah. So like I said, it's nice to have the most optimal rune here, but it's not probably not causing you to die because you had a little bit less damage. It's really not. Just saying, at some point you have to make a compromise. You're a new player after all. You would not expect to get the legendary on the first day. So can I hit this guy? Or how does it work? Yeah, so just regarding the drops, you just have to connect your Guild Wars 2 account to Twitch, and when you watch my stream and most other Guild Wars 2 streamers, you actually get rewarded for it. And in this time, you actually even get a backslot expansion, so very worthwhile to do. Yeah. Yeah, let's explore the map a bit more. Yeah, I think it's quite nice. I'm really happy that we have the new backslot expansion in there, because last time it was just some... No, let me go there. No. Okay. I wanted to get all the insights here. It's actually not that big of a map. I'm just noticing, you know, it's just this part of the map, I guess. A little bit down here. It's not a big map. It's not a big map. Feels like Arborstone reused with some events on it. I don't mind. I think it's actually quite nice looking, and the events are actually quite fun. But it's not as big as I thought. Yeah. Yeah, Sunless is a very good alternative. Very good point there as well, Fawutsu. Yeah. I think there are a lot of options. Of course, the most optimal one for damage is Trapper. That much is for sure. But it's not necessary, you know. So what happens when I touch this? Like nothing, okay. Okay, let's go for the one more time for the last few idea. I mean, it feels like Arborstone, but has this Bloodstone touch. So I think it's actually very fitting. But oh, there's a tunnel. Oh, let's see. Oh, there is an adventure as well. Let's check it out. You see, it looks quite nice. I think it's a very nice mix between those Lowland Shore and Chantia Sintry, while still having those ruins and Arborstone vibes. I think this is actually very interesting. I like it. Nice, I got up. Very good. Okay, there we go. Almost half of the map done. Where do I... What is this pushing me? Ah, interesting. It's like a jumping puzzle with those updrafts. Very interesting, very interesting. I don't know where this is going. Okay, let's check out the mastery point first. And then do the... it's probably for the adventure. Let's try it. I'm not as good with adventures typically, but I can try my best here. Still down, okay. Still down, okay. Oh, there it is. At the bottom, okay. Very good. Little bit more. Bonk. Yeah, bonk, bonk. Did I do something wrong to be bonked? I hope not. Okay, there's the adventure. It's probably something with flying. Search and rescue challenge. Okay. Find as many Kodan scouts as possible. Okay. Wait, what? Hmm. Okay, so I have to stay on the Moorclaw. Interesting. Yeah, I think unlocking the Sky Scale is for sure for almost every single new player is the biggest milestone that you can get. The Sky Scale is probably the most broken mount that we have. It's not the fastest, but it's a very, yeah, just very, very strong mount that you can use in almost all situations because it's so flexible. So I can totally see why you would say that's such a big milestone. And it's also very fun. I think it's one of the best additions they put into the game. Yeah, so that much is for sure, I would say. It's very broken. You can argue about it if it's really necessary to have something that broken in the game. But I think it's in the game now, so you should definitely go for it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really, really strong. I think you don't have to add this fireball. I think this is just thematically fitting, but it's not really necessary from a mount perspective. But the flying and that you just can ignore so many mechanics, this is really, really broken. Yeah, for sure. I think there are better mounts when it comes to movement, how much faster you can progress. For example, the roller beetle is really fast, the griffin is really fast, but the Skysdale is just overall so much, just so much utility that you can just ignore all of the stuff. You can ignore them. Enemies here just fly through and just have a breeze to explore the map. You know, it would be so much more annoying if I haven't gotten the Sky Scale before. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a decent map from the size, but it's not that big. I would say it's not that crazy big. Yeah, glad you enjoy my open world bits, and thanks for joining me here on Twitch as well. Don't forget, you can also get the drops. So be sure to link your account. The Guild Wars 2 account to it. Okay, so where is the last? It's downstairs. Okay. Yeah. Nice, you are dropping. Perfect. So it's somewhere further down, but how can I get there? Interesting. Probably with the event chain, maybe? Maybe it's some kind of cave. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting. Definitely interesting to explore this map. I'm not sure how much really is necessary to come back to this map. We will see in the future, but for now, it's interesting to explore for sure. Ah, there we go. That's the entrance. Okay. Hall of Passing. Okay, I passed, I hope. So what is missing? Not that much, actually. There are a few. But I guess something here, maybe? Not too much to explore right now. It's not... I'm quite surprised how small the map actually is. It's not as big as I expected it to be. But it has a lot of events, actually. For the event density is really high, I have to be honest. Yeah. So did I get all of them already? No, I'm still needed 3. Okay, so there are 3 more, so I see 1 here. Interesting. And I guess I don't see all of the map yet. Yeah. As always, if you have any questions as a new player or as a veteran, whatever, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them, if I can, of course. So there are no stupid questions always asked. I try to do my best to answer it. This one is locked behind this relic. I was there before. You have to have some kind of mastery, I guess, to get there. Or we have to... Ooh, there's some event happening. Or you have to complete a map event or something to unlock this one. Okay. Who is Yagun? Nice, we did it. Grand chest. Okay, maybe there are stupid questions, but let's see. I'm not completely sure. Bloodstone infused pond fish. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Of course, if you want to ask the stupid question, I think you can do that. But I would say if you're a new player and really have a question and you worry about it because it might be you look stupid because you ask it, I think that's not true. I always think about that people that ask the somewhat seemingly stupid question might probably be 10 people that are just lurking and have the same question at some point as well. So I don't know. I think it's really important, yeah, that you asked, yeah. Okay, so there's one. Okay, there are the ghosts. Okay, so we have a very serious question. Okay, let's hear it. Yeah. Okay, I try to get up here. I'm not even sure if you can explore the whole map or if we get a new map expansion with the next patch or something. I think we don't, but I don't know. Looks like this map is smaller than the older maps, but we get a 4th map. Yeah. What are your top 3 open world perma-quickness builds? So are you talking about builds that have some kind of group with them, or is it something that you do solo? So for example, like a solo Mesmer build. Yeah, I know, but you want to also buff your allies, or would you say, no, I just care about myself and I do the stuff alone? Because I would say solo. Okay, solo. So I would say solo is definitely my Condi Chrono. Yeah, this one is really, really good. This build is, I made a build guide about it. I think this is one of the most underrated builds in the entire Guild Wars 2. You have a lot of damage, you have amazing sustain, you have so much HP, and you have perma quickness. And the funny thing is, you actually also have perma alacrity, which is actually insane. Yeah, this is really, really crazy. And this build actually is really fun because the interesting part here is that you deal more damage if the boss hits you harder, because they actually get confused and therefore they get more damage. So this is a really interesting build, really hard. Yeah. Staff Mirage is, I would say, a build that is very easy to play, but has very little damage. Or not very little, but is way lower than every solo build that is a little bit more using brain power. Yeah. So I would say if you want to have an easy build, go for Staff Mirage. But if you want to have a very strong build, I would say Condi Chrono is better. Then what else can we play? I think Celestial Berserker, so the spec, elite spec, Berserker is really good as well. I think this is very underrated. It's very, very good. You have perma quickness there as well. What else do we have? I think Catalyst is very good. You can play it with hammer, you can play it with whatever weapon you like. Catalyst is extremely strong with perma quickness as well. So I would say those 3 are probably my favorite ones from the quickness. But you can also go with Reaper. But I would say the quickness there is not permanent if you don't go for power. I think only a power Reaper can upkeep it permanent. But I would say from my fun perspective, I would say Chrono, Berserker, and Catalyst, I would say. Yeah, just from the fun. And this is also, they are also very strong, yeah. Celestial Mechanist is also very good. But I would say I'm not the biggest fan of Mechanist. I have to be honest. I always say that in my streams. I think Mechanist for me feels too clunky. I don't like to rely on an AI. I think AIs are not really my favorite thing to have in a game. Where am I? Crazy. They just ported me randomly in the map. I'm not sure if that's intended. I'm in the wall. The game ported me in the wall. Okay, that's not nice. Yeah, I get that. I think it's a very good build, but I'm not the biggest Mechanist fan. I need 1 gift of battle to craft Twilight. What build should I go in with to World vs. World as a total noob? It depends if you want to go for Zerg play or if you want to go for roaming. Because in World vs. World, you can play whatever you like. Just, let's say, wait for a particular amount of time to get through all the pips and the reward track to get the gift of battle. So you can play whatever you like. If you want to play roaming, I would say Harbinger is probably one of the best roamers. That is also quite easy to get into. So either Power Harbinger or Condi Harbinger is very good. If you want to play Zerg, I would say there are so many options, but typically Firebrand is one of the best supports that you can play there. And if you want to play something aggressive, I would go for Holosmith. Those 2 are the best overall, I would say. What do we get here? Let's check. Do we get the new skins here? Okay. Can you buy... Okay. Yeah, I had my own spot there, but I have to be honest, it was not that nice of a spot, you know. I couldn't move around, I couldn't see that much, it looked really buggy. I don't know, doesn't look that crazy good. Yeah, sure, check it out. I can also link it to you if you don't know. Give me a second. I can link it because I have it probably faster than you do. So this should be the link to the video, to the Condi Chrono. This is really, really good. Okay, so we have the new weapons, we get new mini. Do we have here? Ooh, we get new shards. Do we need those? Probably 20 more per account per week. This is probably needed for the legendary backpack. Yeah, used in crafting of legendary Chancerwise items. Suspicious. Why is it items and not the backpack? How much is it currently? Probably also around 7 gold or something. Mist. Burn. No, it's actually not that high. Interesting. It's not that high. Why is it not that high? Because you can get 20 per day probably. Yeah. I don't know how many you need, but it's probably worthwhile to get those, at least those 20. I mastered Word and I'm a few away levels from Chrono spec as well. I grind hero points. Yeah, I think going for hero points and unlocking all your possible elite specs is very worthwhile to do. It's very good. I would definitely do that. Even if you don't plan on playing them, just having them for the future is worthwhile as well. Ooh, you can actually get the renowned tokens for those things here as well. That's interesting. Very interesting. And you get some stuff probably for the backpack and probably also for the, how is it called? Homestead. But other than that, I don't know if you get so much stuff here. Doesn't look like something that I would do every single day. You probably do this once a week, this hard, to get those shards. That's about it. A little bit not that crazy, I have to say. Doesn't look like it's delivering stuff that I would do for the next few months. Content-wise, I would say. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's not... I like the map design. It looks like Arborstone mixed with some kind of Bloodstone and of course Chantier Wilds, Chantier Sintry stuff a little bit in there. But I think the map is not that big if you compare it. I think the map looks more like something like this size here. Yeah, so like this. This is not too big. It looks like a little, it's maybe a third of the Chantier Sintry map. It's not that big. I don't know. Maybe I missed something here. It's just my first playthrough, but it's not that big, you know. I think I missed one part with 5 POIs and one thing. I know, but it still doesn't look that crazy big, you know. It's, I don't know. Interesting, very interesting. I think the events are fun, but it's not too crazy from what I can see. I don't know. So what would you say to yourself if you could go back and give yourself advice on what to do in your first month of playing Guild Wars 2? Like top 3 things. So I made a video about that where I actually gave myself tips. So what would I summarize out of this video? So if you want to get more tips, be sure to check out this video. But my top 3 tips, what I myself would give, is probably the first one: stick to one class. So if you play a single class and don't like it at the first few levels, and then you swap to another class and you don't like it after that, stick to one that you enjoy the playstyle or the fantasy of, because it will in the end be fun. I think every single class is a fun class to play in the end if you like the fantasy. And you would waste your time going for some exploration, going for the first few levels. I think this is really important. This is, so try to stick to a class that you like, or at least try to level one character to 80 first. This is the important part. And then if you reach that, I would go and say, find out how I can get Ascended Gear. Because that's the interesting part. Ascended Gear is the highest level of gear. But you can actually get it quite fast. For example, from Astral Acclaim, from the Wizard's World, you get a lot of Ascended stuff as well. So my first goal when I reach level 80 would be getting full Ascended. Because Exotic you can easily buy from the TP. But you can do that, and then you can grind for Ascended Gear. Typically, I would say that would probably take me, if I know what I'm doing, a few weeks to get it quite fast. And then from there, I would go into fractals. Yeah, I would play a lot of fractals, level my fractal level up, so that I can get this instance content of dungeons, fractal dungeons, to get more gold, because this is a really good way for gold farming. Yeah. That would be my tips that I would give myself. So for me, it's really important that I would stick to my goals and try to stay on the path, because if you just go and explore the map and stuff, you might have fun. If you like that, do that. But I personally was doing that and I felt like I'm a little bit lost. I want to have a clear goal to work towards, and that's what I would give myself. Yeah. For open world, would you go Celestial Hammer, Catalyst, or Tempest? I would go Catalyst. Celestial Hammer, Catalyst, I have a guide about it actually on my YouTube as well, and it's really, really good. It's like you press all your buttons and it works. You have all the boons, you just deal damage, and you are very sustaining. It's very easy. I would not go Tempest. I think Tempest is not made... You can play it, but it's not made for solo content. I think Catalyst is just way better. It's like the sad truth. Catalyst is very, very strong in almost everything it does, just because it's just giving you for free more boons. I don't know. Seems broken. Yeah. Choosing a class is the hardest part for me as a noob. Yeah, I can see that. But don't be sad about it. Choosing a class for me is even the same amount of... It's really hard. It's also a challenge. You know, I have 70 characters and I use all of them. You know, I play at least 5 characters every single day. Yeah, 5 classes rather. So for me, Guild Wars 2 is also, I don't choose a single class. You know, I play every class and I play every elite spec as well. So for me, playing Guild Wars 2 is also all about the versatility. So if you like multiple classes, even better. Just play one until you reach level 80, farm a bit on it, and play something else as well. You know, that's very fun. What are your top 3 favorite spear-only builds? Spear-only builds. I think Condi Herald is very fun. I really like Condi Herald. I think Condi Herald with Spear is really, really good. It's so versatile. I liked it a lot. Yeah. I really think it's really good. I think I like Chronomancer with Spear. I think Chronomancer is extremely strong. The rotation is so fun with the Spear. I really like it. Yeah, I think it's my favorite Spear probably from a design perspective. And then, what else? I like the Necromancer Spear. I don't play it that much in PvE. I play it more in competitive modes. I think Necromancer Spear I play on World vs. World a lot because I think it's really fun with the sustain that you have. It's really interesting design with the lifesteal. So those 3 builds are my favorite. So Necromancer with Spear, Chronomancer with Spear, and Vindicator or Herald. Both of them are really fun as a Condi version. Congrats to your Brazen then, if you got the Chug Egg. It's really rare. I did not get it yet, and I played the game for over 12 years, so congrats to you there. And it's a very good investment to get the Legendary Spear. That's a very good thing. Yeah. What if we look at Heal Quickness Cutter and Heal Tempest? You would say to better go for Cutter because of ease of use and look for another elite spec that can also electrically heal. So I would say if you make the decision between playing Catalyst as a healer or Tempest as a healer, you have to think about 2 things. So first of all, Catalyst is very easy to upkeep the boons. You just have to spam your buttons and you don't have a real rotation to it, yeah? But the negative of Catalyst is that you don't have any utility. You have some CC, but you don't have any good utility. On the other hand, Tempest has really good utility, but has some kind of rotation to it so that you can heal consistently and also consistently get alacrity. It's not as hard as it once was before, but it's still somewhat you have to overload. You have to do, for example, Earth Overload from time to time to get enough protection and stuff up. So I would say if you know what you're doing, typically the Elec Heal Tempest can be a bit better because you can influence the fights with more utility because you have cleanses, you have shouts, you have stability, you have H's. That is way easier accessible or somewhat more likely to be used for in the correct situation because you have it on utility skills. Whereas Catalyst is, I would say, easier to play and provides more boons passively. But if you want to adjust to a situation, you can't really do that because your build is just very rigid, you know? You can't adjust utility skills because you don't have really good utilities as a Catalyst. Catalyst is not made as a healer. They never designed the utilities in a way like that. So, I don't know. Just saying, I think both of them work. They have advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I don't mind, you know. It's good if you have luck and got the Chug Exit. It's really nice. I'm happy for you, and I think that's really good, especially if you don't have all the legendaries yet, so you can actually get some legendaries out of it. So, I don't know. I like that. Yeah. I would say, if you're new, I would go for Catalyst. That's the short answer. Because I think Tempest is also not keeping up with Firebrand, with Druid, with Chrono. So, even if you're experienced, I would say I would rather go for something that is rewarding you way more, like Chronomancer, like Druid, like Firebrand. So that's my take on that, yeah. I have 2 months of playing. I was thinking of playing Power Tempest with Hammer and Boon Catalyst for my Fractals. Is it good? So I would say Boon Catalyst for Fractals is very good. It's not the easiest build, but it's very good. So Boon Catalyst for Fractals is very good. Specifically a DPS variant. So you play Quickness DPS, it's very good. For Power Tempest with Hammer, I would say it's a decent pick as well. It's not as easy to play. Yeah. So typically Elementalist and Fractals is very squishy and you might get some damage there. And Elementalist is the squishiest class, just straight up, because you're a light armor class, so you have the least amount of armor, so you can take the least amount of hits, and you are low health pool class, so your health is also the lowest. So that means Elementalist is very punishing. So I would say Power Hammer Tempest, very good pick from the damage perspective, but can be a bit punishing. But if you want the challenge, I don't know. It's fine. Scrapper, on the other hand, is very, very good. It's probably one of the best picks that you can get in Fractals for power DPS if you are starting out, because it's having a lot of DPS and a lot of defense. You get a lot of barrier and you don't rely too much on your team. Because, for example, if you play Soul Beast, which is the best option by far in a speedrun scenario, you can't, even I can't pull that off in CMs, even though I did them 100 times, 200 times, yeah. Because it is very reliant on your party. And if your party is just not good enough, then you fall off in your DPS as well. So better play Scrapper, for example, which is really, really good, because you don't care about your party too much. So Scrapper, I would say, is better option for sure than Power Hammer Tempest. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I think this is really important to mention. Thanks for the follows, by the way, Brazen and Chaka and Vaden. Yeah, that's what I want to mention here. You can play every build in Fractals, but Fractals are very unique in that way that you get a lot of damage, you get a lot of knockbacks and that kind of stuff. So if your supports are not good, builds that are actually dealing with those better are way more superior than builds that are actually very reliant on not getting interrupted, on not getting damaged. So just saying, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can do that, Filthy. You can do that. I'm not sure if your group will like you for that. Yeah. Scrapper is great for solo, but I don't know how good it is for soloing champs. I think Scrapper is actually really good. I think for me it's an A. I think for me it's an A tier build, or at least A, maybe even S tier in solo builds, because you can play with Spear. It's really, really good. Spear is one of the best weapons that Engineer has. It's really, really good. You can also play with Hammer. So Scrapper, in my opinion, as a solo build, good option. Very good option. You have a lot of barrier access. Yeah. Spellbreaker is also decent, but I think Spellbreaker damage is not as high as, for example, a Berserker damage. So that's the sad part. I wanted to make a Berserker or Spellbreaker build rather for soloing champions all the time, but my damage is just not there. I don't get my damage too high. And if I get my damage decently high, then I get one-shot by attacks, or, you know, I can't have any protection, which is very important for soloing champions. I think protection on your build makes you survive. And if you don't have protection, then you might get hit by an attack, and if you can't heal back up and you get hit by another attack, you might die to that. And I don't like that. So that's why I think Spellbreaker is very challenging to make a really good build. Yeah. Yeah, I think Warrior is, in my opinion, the best option is Berserker. I think Bladezone and... Where is it? I think Bladezone and Spellbreaker are playable, for sure, in a solo scenario, but they are not as good when it comes to the just sustain the damage defensive. I don't know. It's just Berserker is made for that. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's true. I agree that you can use some double dagger or even dagger mace X offhand stuff. That works, but I'm not sure if you can really upkeep protection enough to make it work, because I feel like you have to go Berserker then, or some kind of Marauder stuff or something like that. And I don't know. I think maybe it works, especially with the new trade line. So the new trade line gives, or the new trade gives you a really nice. I think that's the sad part, that you don't get access to protection. All the other solo builds get access to protection, but you don't really do that. So this trade I was trying to go for a build guide and making a build out of that, because this is really interesting. Attack speed is increased when wielding a main hand weapon in your offhand. Yeah. Heal when you critically strike a foe while wielding a main hand weapon in your offhand. This heal is increased when critically striking a bleeding foe. So this makes you, first of all, heal, and you get 20% more attack speed. And the important part here is this attack speed now stacks with quickness. So that means you get a lot of attack speed and healing from that. But I feel like that the healing is only worth it if you don't die to the first few attacks. But you don't have any protection access, so you have to get some kind of toughness in your gear. But toughness in your gear on a power build drastically decreases the amount of damage you do because you have to invest stats into that. So maybe Banner of Defense, yeah, maybe. Where is it? But it doesn't give you protection. It just gives you some, I don't know. I think for me it's really hard to come up and build craft something here because Warrior has so bad access to anything that gives you damage reduction other than Balance Stance, which is nice, gives you 4 seconds of immunity against crits, but I wanted to have some permanent protection, but I can't get it, you know. The only thing that gives me protection would be this, but this is on a 8-second cooldown, and this gives me, even with boon duration, not even half the amount of time. Feels like not good. I don't know. I think a true warrior is just really dealing a lot of damage and tries to survive with smart usage of their skills, but not really, I don't know. I feel like the face tanking potential of this build is just too low to actually make it work as a solo build. I think a solo build is for me something that can also take hits, because if you have to play perfect to make it work, I feel like then you could also play at this point a raid build and perform decently well because you don't get hit, you know? I don't know. I think for me that's why I really wanted to make this work, but it feels so hard. It's really, really hard. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I was trying really hard to go for something that, like making a full Berserker and going for high crit chance so that you can use, for example, Relic of Sakiros, which gives you a lot of healing from the crits while you're under Fury. And then you get also the healing from this one, and you have permanent quickness with aggressive onslaught. So I think that build makes sense. But if there needs to be some kind of protection in there to make it work, you know? I can go for this, yes, then I have around 40% protection uptime, but I lose so much damage, you know? This gives me 15% damage increase. This is insane, you know? This is a lot of damage. And I don't know. I think Warrior is in a weird spot, because if you can't play a Berserker, like a solo Condi Berserker, then it feels like you miss out on so much stuff that it's actually not worth it anymore. Thanks for the follow, Trimbold. So, I don't know. I was really thinking a lot. Maybe you have some ideas here, but I don't know. They are just not on par with my other solo builds that I put out. I think I can't make Spellbreaker work to an extent that I would say, okay, this is absolutely broken. Yeah. Because I can showcase it to you. If you play, for example, the Condi Chrono build, yeah, on the Condi Chrono build, when I showcase this to you, then the difference, yeah, that you see on a Berserker, I will have trouble to kill the enemy, yeah, on this build. I don't even get below 80% of health, yeah. So this is just absolutely insane, the amount of how broken this build actually is. So please let me solo this and not engage. So I have 1 minute. Doable. Okay, so you can see I'm just having all the boons. Sounds like a really good build, yeah? All the boons. Just, yeah. No, they didn't let me solo. But you can see the potential. It's actually insane. When I get below some health percentage, it takes a while to get back up, but I have enough protection blocks and stuff that it's actually not mattering. And it's that, you know. How long did it take? I don't know, a few minutes or so. It's really, really good, you know. On a Berserker build, how long would I take? And I would struggle very hard because I get damaged all the time. I don't know. I think this is just a showcase of a very good solo build. But then you have Berserker, or rather Spellbreaker, where I really tried hard, you know, and then it is not working, you know. I really build crafted for an hour, yeah, and thought, okay, this has to work and this has to work. And then I tried it for 1 more hour on playing on some kind of solo builds on bounties and stuff, and thought, okay, this isn't working. Maybe I tried this. And then after 2 hours, I think it's not working. It's straight up not working. You know, I can try as hard as I want, but it's never going to get to the point where I say this is competing against the really good solo builds. Yeah. So this is what is behind my YouTube videos. I always try to come up with stuff, but you always see only the positive outcome. You know, you only see the builds that are actually working. You know, there are also builds that I tried that are actually not working. And of course, I don't post video about them because this is not working. You know, maybe I should do some kind of compilation where I say, okay, this build is not good, this build is not good, and this build is also not good, so that you don't have to try it. But for me, this is just a showcase why this build is very good and the other one is not. It's just a sad truth, I would say. Yeah, I mean, my tier list makes sense in that. I always try to explain my tier list, but there are always people that are disagreeing with me. I think that's fine. I'm just trying to make you understand what I think about my points and why I put stuff in the thing. Yeah. Yeah. I always see Daredevil and Dragon Hunter really low. They have no good boons for sustain. Yeah, I would say the problem with them is that they are just made for a group scenario in PvE. They are very selfish and they want boons from their allies, and you can't provide a lot of boons to yourself, so they have to be low because of that. Yeah. I'm trying to elite a Vindicator with Spear and Shortbow. It's pretty fun so far. Yeah, I think that's nice. I think Vindicator with Spear is a very good build. It's very fun. It's very fast paced. I think it's a very good fun combination. Yeah. Can you do a Deadeye guide? I actually have a Deadeye guide. Or do you mean in PvE instance content? In instant content, I don't have one yet. But in solo build, I actually have a Deadeye solo build. But you are right, Deadeye is very hard to actually achieve the high numbers. So maybe I have to make a build guide about that as well for the instant content. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Maybe I have to do that in the future, sure. Nice, you have Conflux. Congrats, Filthy. Congrats. Yeah, it's a big step to your full legendary armory. Yeah, very good. Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting part there. The Spear Vindicator is like, if you have time and you say, I just don't want to die, then you pick the Spear Vindicator. Yeah, it's the damage is not broken, but the sustain is absolutely insane. You have so many dodges, you have so much regen and stuff, you don't care about damage. As long as there is no one-shot attack that is unavoidable, you are fine. But I think for most Guild Wars 2 content, it's actually not necessary to be unkillable. You just need to be somewhat tanky, and if you then have even more damage, better. That's what I would say. Yeah. I think Relic of Rivers is just broken in PvE. I think it was broken in every game mode, but it's the only game mode that it didn't get nerfed into was PvE. So I think this is a relic that I would say is making solo builds even more crazy than they already are, especially on builds like Vindicator where you dodge a lot. I think this is, I'm not sure. I think they actually don't care. I think my point is that in solo content, they actually think it's okay to have power creep because people don't really, the people that play solo stuff want to achieve stuff that a normal group would also be able to achieve. But why would you care that those people can solo it? You know, ArenaNet says, I don't know. They let them do it. And I think that they did not nerf a lot of solo builds in the future, in the past, and they will probably not do it in the future either. That's my take. I think it's quite likely that they will just continue with adding stuff that is absolutely broken, and we can use it in solo builds as well. I think so. I think the Relic Rivers Relic is, in my opinion, a very good example. So if you use it on this build, you have, with a, let's say, 70% boon uptime, then you get, just from dodging, you get 6 seconds of alacrity. If you run that on a Vindicator, if you run that on some kind of build that actually uses dodges a lot, this is insane. You can permanently upkeep alacrity, and this makes your build and very tanky because you can get all your skill recharge and your tanky skills back, defensive skills. But, and that's the cool part, you even solve your regen issue because you have regeneration permanently with this as well. This is really, really crazy. But I don't see them nerfing it because it's only really useful in a solo scenario. In a group scenario, you would never use that because you get alacrity and regeneration anyway. So they only have that relic in there because it's useful in PvE in a solo scenario. In every other scenario, it's not useful, or in PvP and World vs. World, it is nerfed so much that the baseline duration is 1 second. And 1 second alacrity on dodge on most builds is just too low. So I think this is very much staying like that. I don't see it getting nerfed. But that was another point that I made back in the day, that the Tormenting Rune was one of the coolest runes that they had in the game. It was also one of the most broken, probably the most broken rune they ever added, because for people that don't know, Tormenting Rune back in the day was giving you not only the stats that you had previously, so Tormenting Rune now gives you torment duration and condition damage. So that's nice. You can see people actually use it. That's why it costs some stuff. But back in the day, the 6 bonus was giving you, whenever you torment without an ICD, whenever you apply torment to an enemy, healing. Baseline, I think it was, I don't know, something between 50 and 100 healing or something. Yeah, I don't know what it exactly was. Yeah. And if you played it on any Revenant build, on any Revenant, it was a lot. It was so much. Because on a Revenant, you have Embrace the Darkness, or how it's called, your elite skill in Malex, which gives you torment pulsing around you. And a lot of your skills also apply torment. This was absolutely broken for soloing, but it was also, and that's the interesting part, absolutely broken in, for example, World vs. World, because you could roam, and it was actually like you could 1v5 people, and you actually liked it if you have 1v5, because you would have more targets for your torment and therefore more healing. So you don't want to 1v1, you want to have 1v2, 1v3, 1v4, because you got more healing out of it. It was absolutely insane, and I still to this day hope they bring it back as a relic. Yeah, because in my opinion, that was such a fun interaction that you could make a build that is somewhat offensive and still have healing in it. I think that would be crazy. I think, of course, they have to take a look at it and maybe nerf the healing amount to make it a little bit more let's say, balanced in the competitive modes. But to be honest, making this as a relic, yeah, that you get healing when you apply torment and you apply another condition. They could also make it when you apply burning, for example. I don't know, would be for another build useful. That could be in PvE way higher healing than in PvP and World vs. World. Would be a really cool relic. I like that a lot. I'm not sure if it's too broken for them, but if you look at the Rivers relic, I guess it's not too broken, because the Rivers relic is also very strong. So I think there are many options, and I hope they will bring out more of those really cool and not very boring relics in the future. Because this patch, I would say, there are 3 relics that are decent, but most of them are very boring. Where do you get the Rivers relic? So I got it once when I unlocked it for the legendary. But if you don't have the legendary, I think you can also. Can you? 1 second, I can check. Because it's from an achievement, yeah. So you have to get it from an achievement first. You can also unlock it in World vs. World, which is very nice. So you can see, you can buy it from the vendor here in Lowland Shore, Harvest Den, where you get it for some research notes and some Ursus Oblige. But you can also get it from World vs. World, which is very cheap, for 50 of those things and 100 of those badges of honor. So it's really, really cheap there. So I would recommend you to get it from World vs. World. But of course you need... you can only get it when you have it from the hard vendor first. Okay. I would say the fastest way is getting it from the Chansey Wilds reward track. So you just complete it with World vs. World, go for 1 Chansey Wild reward track, and in the end you can select it. And then I think it doesn't unlock it for the thing for the legendary, but if you buy it from this guy, it also unlocks it. But just saying, yeah. Yeah. Yes, you have to have a Chansey Wilds for Rivers Relic. That's correct. You have to have it. That's, I think it's okay to have some relics but be locked behind expansions. I think it's okay because at some point they want to get money and want you to buy expansions. I think that's okay. But I don't know. Really want to try that Commander Marauder Reaper. Permashroud is crazy. Yeah, I think this is a really good build as well. It's an open world Reaper, and it is extremely strong. I think, I have to be honest, I think you can, if you don't take a lot of damage, you actually are permanently in Shroud. So my build guide is, I think, actually possible to keep permanent Shroud. I mean, it's not always the best option because you have some nice damaging skills outside of Shroud as well, but it's absolutely broken. Yeah. Yeah. Is there a quick way to farm versus a reward? But if you want to really farm it, you can also, for example, go for the world versus world reward track or PvP reward track and activate there the Chancey Wilds one, because then you get it as well. But I don't know. I think there is no really quick way to farm them. You just have to do it consistently. You know, you have to consistently do the Chancey Wild stuff. Yeah, that's the only way that you get it consistently. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so I haven't eaten today, so I have to eat something now. So that's the end of my stream. I hope you had some fun. And I will be back tomorrow very early with another stream, doing some more build crafting this time and trying stuff with the new expansion, or update rather. So thanks a lot all for watching. Hope to see you around. Have a nice evening, and be sure to check out my YouTube if you haven't already. Thanks for all the follows, and see you around.
The